Look at this house on Eastman Avenue in Green Bay, Wisconsin. From the street, nothing about it looks unusual. A modest home, a quiet neighborhood. The kind of place police might enter expecting drugs, a domestic dispute, or a bad night that had already ended. But when officers arrived in February of 2022, the first thing they had to understand was not who had died. It was how much of him was still missing. And when they questioned the woman connected to the basement, she allegedly gave them a sentence that would follow the case from that day forward. She told them they were going to have fun trying to find the rest. To understand that sentence, you have to go back to the night before, when nobody involved yet knew what call this would become. Taylor Schabusiness and Shad Thyrion had known each other for a while. Friends, sometimes more than friends. On the night of February 22nd, in 2022, the two of them were together in the basement of Shad's mother's house while she slept upstairs, unaware of what was unfolding 2 floors beneath her. They were using methamphetamine. This was not unusual for either of them. It was part of the pattern of their relationship, part of how they spent time together. Investigators would later note that this basement had hosted nights like this one before, nights that ended without incident. What made this night different is a gap the case file never quite closes. At some point, the encounter turned sexual. At some point during that encounter, it turned violent in a way that did not stop when it should have. Schabusiness later told police she began choking Shad. This was something they had done before, at least to some extent, within the context of their relationship. But this time, it got out of hand. She said she could not stop. In what may have been only a few minutes, Shad Thyrion died. This is the point where the case stops being a domestic incident and becomes something else. Because what happened next was not panic. It was not a frantic attempt to undo a mistake. Schabusiness did not call for help. She did not leave any trace of hesitation. Instead, she began dismembering Shad's body. She used what was available in that basement. She placed his remains into bags, into containers. Some of it she moved to a vehicle. Some of it she left where it was. Investigators later described the process as methodical, and that word carries weight in a case file because it separates this scene from the way dismemberment homicides are usually described in court. There was a scene that suggested time and a procedure. His head was later found in a bucket in the basement. For a period after that, life in the house above continued in a strange, suspended state. His mother slept upstairs. The basement held what it held. Nobody outside that house knew anything was wrong. Days passed like this, the ordinary rhythms of a household continuing directly above a bucket in the basement. Then, Shad's mother went looking for her son. She is the one who found what was in that bucket. She is the one who called 911. The call itself is short, and it does not sound like the start of one of the most disturbing cases Green Bay police had processed in years. It sounds like a mother reporting something in her basement she cannot explain.
County Public Safety, how may I help you?
Yes, I'd like an officer at 829 Stony Brook. Her friend just woke me up and swears that she found her severed head of her son in the basement.
Okay, tell me what's happening there again?
I have no clue what's happening. My girl swears that she's found her severed head of her son in the basement.
Her voice controlled in the way people get controlled right before they stop being able to hold it together. Dispatch sends officers to a residential address on a quiet street, the kind of call that could still be almost anything. The body cam footage from that morning tells its own story, unfolding in short bursts of confusion before it becomes something else. Officers arrive at the house moving carefully, unsure exactly what they are walking into. One voice asks about a bloody footprint. Another says it could be something, the sentence trailing off before it finishes.
Is this blood? Does this look like blood to you? Or am I just tripping? Bloody footprint? You see this right here? Could possibly be blood.
This is a call that begins, on the recording, sounding like it could still be a domestic dispute, a drug scene, something ordinary that got out of hand. They grow tense as they begin clearing rooms, calling out floor by floor, moving through the house with a controlled urgency that comes from training rather than instinct. Watch this window. Go in here, come to the back. The commands layer over each other. Several officers trying to secure a house before anyone understands what the house actually holds. At one point, someone asks if anyone has weapons. Another answers, almost too casually, that he is not sure. It is a small moment on the recording, easy to miss, but the body cam shows officers realizing piece by piece that this was not the call. they thought they were answering. Then Taylor Schabusiness appears, and this is the detail that separates this case from most others like it. She is calm. She responds to officers when they speak to her. She follows instructions. Officers would later testify that they did not ask her many questions in that moment. Mostly commands. Remove your jacket, remove your hat, sit here. She complied with all of it. This is where the case splits into two very different accounts running at the same time. There is the physical scene in the basement, and there is Taylor Schabusiness standing above it, answering to simple commands with no visible distress. At the police department, officers photographed what looked like smeared blood on her hands and her clothing. They had her remove her sweatshirt, her socks. Additional clothing was removed by another officer afterward. All of it entered into evidence, all of it building toward a picture of what had happened in that basement. Officers on the stand would later describe her responses as appropriate to their questions. When asked directly whether anyone else was in the house, she answered, and her answer was accurate. There was, in fact, someone else present. During her interrogation, she confessed, not in fragments, not reluctantly. Investigators would later describe her account as thorough, almost procedural in how she laid it out. She told them what she had done. She told them where some of what remained could be found. And she told them, according to investigators, that they would have fun trying to find the rest.
I'm terrible at explaining things, so let's see here. And then here comes the chain, right? And then you put it around his neck. Well, we were like playing around and then I don't know, I was tugging on it and then.
So there's gonna be maybe a foot or a leg in the van.
Yeah,
What'd you do with the head?
I forgot that was in the van, so yeah.
What'd you do with the head?
The head I put it in that bucket, that black bucket.
Black bucket?
With the blanket on top.
Okay.
I shouldn't go with me.
And then where'd you leave it?
Leave the head? The head's still in the bucket. It's right by the stairs.
By the stairs? Okay. How did you dismember his body then?
Knives.
With what?
Knives.
Knives? Just more than one knife? Where'd you get those from?
Kitchen. So I couldn't find mine when I wasn't sharp enough.
They weren't sharp?
No. It was alright. Bread knife works good.
Bread knife?
A bread knife works good.
Really?
I had to use what I had to use. So like, yeah. You ever love something so much that you kill it? Like it happens to me. That's the feeling that I have. I love something so much that I kill it. Like, I cuddle it so much and then I kill it.
That is the sentence that follows this case everywhere it goes. Not the confession itself, which was extensive. Not the physical evidence, which was substantial. That sentence, delivered with what witnesses describe as something close to amusement, is the detail that officers who worked this case bring up years later. The trial that followed was its own kind of chaos. Competency evaluations delayed the proceedings for months, with mental health professionals disagreeing over what her state of mind had actually been on the night of the killing. In February of 2023, during a pre-trial hearing, Schabusiness attacked her own defense attorney in the courtroom, lunging at him before deputies pulled her back and subdued her. It was captured on camera, one more piece of footage in a case that had already produced an unusual amount of it, and one that reinforced the picture of a defendant whose behavior did not follow any predictable pattern. In July of 2023, a jury convicted her of first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault. Her insanity plea did not succeed. In September of that year, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
It's the decision of this court and the judgment of the law that Ms. Schabusiness be sentenced as follows. As to in 22 CF 363, count 1, that's the first degree intentional homicide as a repeater. It's a Class A felony. I'm going to impose life imprisonment without the possibility of extended supervision. I believe that's appropriate in light of the findings that I've already made. As far as count 2, mutilation of a corpse as a repeater, a Class F felony, I'm going to adopt the recommendation of the pre-sentence investigation writer, 7.5 years of initial confinement followed by 4 years of extended supervision. That'll be consecutive to count 1. And that'll be the order of the court. Then Mr. Freilich, you can go over your client's appeal rights with her.
Yes, I will.
And with that then, this matter is now concluded. Thank you.
Thank you.
The medical examiner's testimony later confirmed that Shad Thyrion's cause of death was strangulation, not the dismemberment. The strangulation is what killed him, which means everything that came after, the placement of his remains throughout the house and the vehicle, the bucket in the basement, All of it happened to a body that was already gone. That distinction matters in the case file, even if it does little to change what officers encountered at the scene. Here is what can be stated with confidence, based on the physical evidence and the official record. Shad Thyrion died of strangulation in the basement of his mother's home on the night of February 22, 2022. Taylor Schabusiness was present and later confessed to the killing as well as to dismembering his body afterward.
Where'd you do the body?
The body's there.
So we're gonna take the head somewhere?
I like that.
You liked it?
Well, you're gonna have fun trying to look for all the organs, but yeah, they're all dismembered.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you dismembered the body too?
Yeah.
Human remains, including his head, were recovered from that basement and from other locations connected to her. She was convicted on all major counts in July of 2023 and sentenced to life without parole. Here is what is reported, but rests more heavily on testimony than on physical record. Officers described her demeanor at the scene and afterward as calm, cooperative, largely without visible distress. They described her statement about having fun, finding the rest as delivered with something close to amusement. These are accounts given by the officers who were there, consistent across their testimony, but they are recollections of tone, not measurements. Investigators do not dispute the facts, they dispute their own ability to sit with them, the calm against the carnage, the compliance against the confession, the one sentence that keeps surfacing in every retelling of this case, delivered by every account like a small joke only she was in on. No psychological evaluation offered at trial closed that gap. The competency hearings established that she was fit to stand trial. They did not explain how a person walks out of a basement like that one and into a patrol car without anything on her face changing. Some point to the meth, days of it, maybe longer, flattening what should have been there. Others point to whatever the courts weighed in private and ultimately set aside. Neither has been offered as final. Neither explains the sentence. The paperwork closes it. Homicide, first degree, convicted, sentenced, done. But go back to Eastman Avenue that morning. The footprint, the question about weapons, the officers moving room to room, not yet knowing what they were walking toward. That call did not end the way it started. It ended with her in a folding chair, hat in her lap, answering questions about her shoes, still smiling, still telling them if they wanted the rest of him, they would have fun finding it.